Okay, we're on. Hang on. I am yet again behind the curve. Uh, okay. We're on. Hang on. Hey, Stephen. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Marilyn. Hey, Ryan. All right, give me just a second. I was trying something different to see if I could do it without eating up as much of the resources on my computer. So I've got to, I may try this later. I was trying to pull up my YouTube, pull up the stream on my television as opposed to normally what I'll do is pull it up on my computer and then cast my computer screen as onto my television. But I was trying to do it directly watching the live stream from my television, but I can't see the chat. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time trying to make that happen. So, all right, so we got Stephen, Jeanette, Marilyn, Ryan. All right, cool. Where is the little queen? That's a good question, Jeanette. All right, before the little queen makes her entrance, can everybody hear me? I guess everybody can hear me. Hang on. So before the little queen makes her entrance, you notice that we don't have a drug rug. The drug rug is over on the floor. So sometimes I've got this old comforter that she likes to lay on that I will usually have on the that I'll usually have on the sofa. I use the drug rug for the live stream, but and then I'll put it on for the live stream. She likes that old comforter. But when I came in from church today, before I started setting everything up, I moved the comforter, and this is what I found. Hey, Doodle. So, yes, she's using the comforter sort of like a tent, and I just didn't have the heart to take it away from her. Yep, she made a nest. No, I came in and I was gonna take her comforter off of the sofa and put the drug rug on it, and I pulled the comforter back, and there she was. She was asleep, and I woke her up, and she looked at me like, "What are you doing?" And I didn't have the heart to take it away, and she's been under there. I mean, she climbed under there sometime after I left to go to church, but. Hey, Doodle Baby. Oh, big yawn. Good morning, Brat, or good afternoon. Hey, baby. We do have beans. We have beans. I don't think there's enough light under here to really let it focus. Hey, Doodle. Beans. And you see she's got her fist curled up at me, so I'm thinking that she's sort of flipping me off. Would you like to go back to sleep, Rosie? Love you, Doodle. So yes, that's where the Doodle is today, or for now. Where are we at? So yeah, she's been under there ever since I got home. I don't think. Hey, Elizabeth. Okay, so Elizabeth's here. She's blocking out a lace shawl. Okay, cool. Good deal, Elizabeth. But yeah, she has been under there ever since I came home. Even through getting everything set up, she has opted not to come out of her little doodle cave. So I don't think we'll be seeing much of the Rosie today. So, plus, which is not necessarily bad because it's going to be a really short episode. I've got a lot of stuff I've got to get done. So I mean, we're gonna be really short. But no, I wanted to, of course, bring the doodle to you, even if nothing else, a few minutes. But she has decided that she's gonna live in her little cave today. Yeah, she has not come out since I got home. She's not studying any of Daddy. She's not worried about spending time with me. She is in her little cave, and she's perfectly happy. So there we go. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I mean that's where she, like I said, when I came in, I knew that I need to go ahead and get everything set up. Take her comforter off the sofa, replace it with the drug rug, and I pulled the comforter back, and she just looked up at me like, "Have you lost your mind?" I was like, "Oh, sorry." So I covered her back up, and she's been under there ever since. The last time she did this, she did do this. Is she feeling okay? Oh yeah, she's fine. She because she did this. It was one day. Was it one day like 2 weeks ago? She got under her comforter, and she literally, I was kind of wondering if everything was okay too. She literally stayed under there like 22 hours. She didn't come out to eat. She didn't come out to go to the bathroom. She didn't come out to do anything. I was worried about her. I kept an eye on her, but then I think it was about 10 o'clock at night. She came climbing out, flopped out on the floor, and went and got her something to eat and drink, and went used the litter box, went pee and poop, and then she went and sharpened her claws on her little toy, and she walked around and sort of sniffed stuff, and then climbed back up there and got under the guy. I was like, okay, Tim's probably lost. She came out, but yeah, she stayed under there for like 20 something, 22 hours, 23. It was almost, I mean, she did not even come out from under it. I was like, you okay? But no, she was fine. I lifted it up a couple times throughout the day to check on her, and she would look at me, and I would pet her, and she would purr and go back to sleep. I mean, she likes being under there, and she's weird like this because actually some time ago, so a couple of years ago, I put it on there for her, and she would start laying on top of it. Well, then I was like, I actually made it to where she could see under and get under, and she wouldn't. She would look under it, but then she'd climb up on top of it and sleep on top. I'm like, okay, I guess she's one of these cats that just doesn't like being in, enclosed spaces, tight. Like you see cats that'll get in shoe boxes and things like that. But it was, I guess, 6 months or so ago. I came home and I couldn't find her. I was like, surely she didn't get out. I mean, she can't get out. I mean, I've got barricades up where whatever room she's in, she has to stay in. And then I thought I saw an odd placed lump under the blanket. It wasn't sitting at an angle like this. It was all laying flat down, but then there was a little hump right in the middle of it, and I was like surely she's not under. And I reached and I sort of put my hand on it and kind of mashed on it, and it went, ah! You know, I was like, whoa, okay. So, I lifted it up, and there she was, curled up sleeping. I'm like, okay. So, yeah. Okay, the shirts have shipped. Awesome. Sweet. So, I think I gave you the UPS address here in Brooklyn to mail it to. Yes. Yes, whatever address it was that, yeah. So yeah, everybody should be en route, according to Jeanette. So thank you very much, Jeanette. Good job. We appreciate it. Other than that, got my truck out of the shop. Y'all know y'all are going to be thrilled to hear this. So, well, I knew y'all knew that I got my truck out of the shop. This was Wednesday before last. So the last time we met, the last episode of the Rosie Show, then I was able to report that I had my truck back and this, that, and the other. I kept it local, going to the grocery store and whatnot for a couple of days to make sure everything was fine, everything was good. And then this past Monday, when I left to actually get on the interstate and go to a job in Houston, I hit about 65 miles an hour, and there's some kind of buzzing and vibrating and everything. So I'm like, oh my God. So off the interstate I go, take it back to the shop, and the shop's like, yeah, well, yeah, we can look at it in about a week and a half. And I'm like, what do you mean you can look at it in like a week and a half? I was like, it was not making this sound when I brought it to you. I pick it up and now it's making this sound. I was like, well, we got other vehicles. I was like, I get that, but I was like, if I remodel your kitchen and then I go on to another job and 3 days later you call me up and say that there's a leak somewhere in your wall, is it acceptable for me to go, oh, okay, well, I'll come take a look at it in a month when I get done with this other remodel? Or do you want me to prioritize the work that I just did and solve them? So needless to say, we have words and I'm done with them. So anyway, that was this past Monday. So I decided, you know what, I'm done with all these mechanics. I'm done with all this stuff. I'm just going to take it to a dealership. So I take it to a Dodge dealership. They're going to charge me $200 to look at it, and they need to keep the truck a day or two. No problem. Drop it off. Their porter brings me home. And so this was Monday afternoon. So Wednesday afternoon, it's been 2 days, I call them. Hey, what's the status on the truck? What did we learn? What did we find? Well, let me check. They've been, we're going to look at it. They looked at it, or, something. Came back to the phone. Yeah, they're going to be looking at it this afternoon, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I called back the next day. Well, let me check with him. I'll call you back. And didn't hear anything from him. Then he starts dodging my calls. I'm leaving voicemails, and I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me. So bottom line, I talked to him Friday. Actually, I had to get the service manager on the phone and explain to him that his guy was dodging my calls. Y'all have had my truck for 5 days. What's going on? All this stuff. And so he gets the service guy on the phone. They hadn't looked at it yet. I said, okay. I said, well, y'all are open tomorrow, so there's a pathway to, y'all can probably look at it this afternoon, look at it tomorrow, and, we'll know something. Just communicate with me. Don't dodge me. I said, so we'll know something, for next week. They're like, well, we might be able to tell you something next week. I'm like, hang on a second, dude. What do you mean, might be able to tell me next week? I was like, so Friday is next week, and you're not even guaranteeing you can tell me by Friday. I was like, how did 1 to 2 days turn into, could be 12 days, maybe? So naturally, I said, okay, y'all hadn't looked at it. I said, do I owe y'all anything? Do I still owe y'all $200? He said, no. I said, good. I said, take it out of line. I said, don't touch my truck. Don't look at it. I said, send your porter out here to pick me up and bring me to my truck, and I'm going to do something else. The porter came and picked me up, took me back, got my truck. I've got it outside. It still is messed up, but I've got an appointment with, it's not a Shatras where I was taking it to these smaller, it's an older truck. It's an '08 Dodge, so I'm like, I'm not taking it to a dealership for that. But So I was taking it to these local mechanics and all this stuff. That's obviously was a mistake. So now I'm like, then I decide, okay, I'm just gonna take it to a dealership. The dealership will be able to fix it right. And then of course the dealership didn't even look at it. So now I decided to take it to Christian Brothers Automotive, which I think is a national chain, but I looked them up. They're very reputable, very clean, very this, they're. So I called the guy, explained to him what was going on. He's like, Jesus, God Almighty, dude. He's like, you've been through the ringer. He said, you need some help. I said, yeah. I said, I do. I said, all I want is to get wheels back underneath me so I can be a regular human being again. He's like, yeah. He said, bring it to me. So I've got an appointment to take it to him, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. He said, they'll get me a ride home. He said, I'll be able to tell. He said, I'll tell you something by the end of the day. He said, if I can't, I'll let you know that I'm still looking at it. He said, that's crazy. So he seems very sympathetic, seems very knowledgeable, seems very a lot of things. So we'll see. Yeah, that's crazy. We know you're so much BS. I know. It's crazy. I mean, it's like I said, I can't understand the whole concept of, you do work for something, you do work on something, and if it's not right, then people anymore don't understand the concept of, well, let me make it right. They want to make excuses. Well, we didn't really do that, and how do we know the big bit? It's like, God Almighty. I mean, that's like I said, if I come and remodel your kitchen or your bathroom or something, and there's a problem with it, and you call me, 3 days later, you take priority over any job that I'm on, I'm gonna, at the very least, be okay. Well, I'll be there tomorrow. If not, drop what I'm doing and say, all right, I'm on my way. I'll explain to my current customer, hey, I've had something come up. I apologize. I got to go, look at this. I got to go do some, issue warranty, whatever. But nobody does that. It's just, the mechanic. I mean, it took some arguing with him just to get him to test drive it. And I went with him, and we got it up to about 65 miles an hour. And I said, that's it. I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, that might be a bearing or this. I said, okay, if it's a bearing going bad, I was like, why would it not do that at 30 and 35 and 40? Are you ready for this? This was the mechanic's professional diagnosis. Here we go. Well, sometimes bearings are just weird like that. I looked at him, I said, that's your professional opinion? Is sometimes bearings are just weird like that? It was at that point I knew. It was at that point I knew I effed up. It was at that point I knew I was arguing with a brick wall. I knew this clown is too dumb to know to come in out of the rain if necessary. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah. Okay. Rant over. I feel better. Thank you for listening. Doodle's in her cave. Rosie is stirring. Yeah, I saw it moving a minute ago. Good eye, Stephen. I hate being strung along like that. Yeah, it's like I told him. I was like just, be honest with me. I'm patient. I can accept that. There's things. He's telling that we know Scott. It's really insane. He's telling that we know Scott. He's telling the truth. Yeah, I mean, I just do what I do. I just think there's so much fraud and funny business. Yeah, because everybody's there's no ethics anymore. It's just everybody's just looking to make that quick buck or make that buck now, and they're not. And the thing is, for what both of the shops that I took it to, and both of them screwed up, and of course neither one of them's going to admit it. But it's like I could get upset and raise hell about it, but that's not going to force the dealership, or not the dealership. That's not going to force the mechanic. He's not going to go, oh well, since you yelled and raised hell, then I guess you're right. I need to look at it. No, he's going to dig in his heels. I'm going to dig in my heels. Ain't nobody going to accomplish anything. The truck's still going to be messed up, except I'm now going to be pissed off. I could call my attorney and spend $3,000 or $4,000 with my attorney to end up maybe getting $500 or $600 back in 6 months, so that's kind of dumb. So I mean, it's one of these things that, if I'd spent $30,000 on it, then yeah, I'd be calling my attorney and we'd be going to court. But first place was $4,000, a little over $4,000. The second place was $1,200. It's like neither one of them, it's enough money to worry about calling my attorney. So it's just, write it off, lesson learned, move forward, go on. Now let's spend more money to, hell's bells. Ryan said, is it a manual train? No, it's an automatic. So, I hadn't had a manual since 2 vehicles ago. I love them. I love a stick shift, but no, it's an automatic. So, ethics, yeah, they gag. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just old school. Maybe I've got too much of a conscience. I don't know. But when somebody, tells me, hey, this is an issue with my kitchen that you just remodeled, first thing I think is, what did I do wrong? And then I'm jumping on solving the problem, and then once I figure out what the problem is, then I'll tell people, hey, my bad, I screwed up when I did this or did that. I'll fix it, blah blah, or dig into it and find out, okay, well, it's actually this that we didn't touch, we didn't do. So, if you want me to fix it, I can give you a price for fix it, but at least I dig into the problem and find out. How do you get to work now? I don't. I've been in communication with my customers, and that's the thing. I have such a good relationship with my customers, and I'm not working on anything critical right now. If that was the case, then I would probably go rent a car or a truck to at least get, if I had somebody's bathroom taken apart and had to go, make some progress to get them a shower back or a toilet back, or get them some kind of functionality, then that would be a different story. But fortunately, as it happens, I'm not working on anything critical. So the customers that I'm doing stuff for, and again, I have a very good relationship with all of my customers, and they understand, and they're like, no worries, just keep us posted, and get here when you get here. I hope everything's fine. I mean, they're all very understanding, and nothing that I've got going on right now is keeping anybody from running their office or running their home, or nobody's having to go out and buy fast food because they don't have a stove or something like that. So that's a good thing. Like I said, if that was not the case, then I would be spending even more money to rent a vehicle to get back and forth to job sites. So yeah. Jeanette says, no, it's just called being honest, and like you said, solving the problem. Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing. If I've done something, if I've touched your bedroom, your bathroom, your kitchen, your living room, if I've painted, if I've run crown molding or just to a complete gut and remodel, if I've done something and something in that room is off, then the first thing I'm going to assume is that it was not like that before me, so let me find out if it was in fact pre-existing or if it's something that I did. And if it's something that I did, I will fall on my sword and admit I don't think I have ever. I know I can go the other way. I've actually messed up stuff that cost me money to fix, and either just for full disclosure told my customer, oh, by the way, I did this, but don't worry, I've already taken care of it, I fixed it, or I just don't tell them. I just don't, it's like, I accidentally dropped a hammer, knocked a hole in their wall, I've already patched it and painted it, so who cares? Go on about your business. But no, I don't understand how, most people these days just automatically go to, we didn't do it. It wasn't us. Okay. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but how about, you're the last person to turn a wrench on it. How about at least look at it and then tell me? And if it is something new, then hell's bells. I don't mind putting it in line to get it fixed. But if it is something you did, then you need to fix it now. Yeah, the first two places I went to, the first one was just it's not like, some dude at his house. It's an actually pretty big shop that's been here in town for a long time, but I guess the cars that they work on aren't that aren't new. So I mean, they've got they tend to hire let's just say people that aren't going to be wearing a certified dealership shirt at a dealership. But like I said, it's a 17-year-old vehicle with 220,000 miles on it. So, but then the next place I took it to was a step above that, a little bit nicer, a little bit more professional, a little bit more clean, this, that, and the other. And then after that, I'm like, screw it. After that, I just went to the dealership. And then the dealership didn't even bother to look at it after 5 days, so I just give up. I agree. The dealership should have just been honest and said we haven't got it. Yeah, exactly right. That's all. That is all. Just be honest, but don't dodge my calls. They're going to look at it this afternoon. Or I think they were looking at it earlier, and then have me leave 2 or 3 voicemails that go unanswered for 2 days. I mean, like what? Cannot put dealership and honest in the same sentence. Yeah, that's true. And I used to sell cars. I used to work at a dealership, at a Chevy dealership, and I mean that was one of the most brutal jobs, not physically, but just mentally, because just being and I wasn't very good at it because I am honest. I was. I mean, there were salespeople there that were selling cars left and right. I mean, they were making a killing, but I'd sit and watch them lie to people and manipulate them and this, crazy. But I was always just honest with people, and of course I didn't sell a whole lot of cars, and I stayed in trouble because I wasn't moving enough cars. But as a car salesperson, you automatically have a reputation of being a low-life, underhanded liar. So people, as soon as they roll up in the parking lot, they're putting their armor on. You're about to go to battle, so figuratively speaking. So you're putting your armor on, and right off the bat, instead of just an open dialogue, hey, how you doing? It's I'm going to put a smile on my face while we're butting heads and going to war. So dealership and honest, it's difficult. Nobody wants to do that anymore. It seems unfortunate. I better shut up because I've been there, done that. Sorry. Well, like I said, I used to work at a dealership, and I've got people that I knew that I worked with that I mean they were making a killing. I mean they were selling cars left and right, but I mean they just sit there. There was one guy that when the Camaro ZL1 came out and it had the same engine as the Corvette. Somebody came in to look at one, and they had it cordoned off. You couldn't even touch it. I think it was like $50-something thousand, and then there was like $5,000 dealer add-on, dealer markup, just a straight here $5,000 profit for us that they tacked on it. And this particular salesperson, he's sitting at his desk right in front of the Camaro, and somebody comes up and looks at it, and they said, "Doesn't this have that ZR1 Corvette engine in it?" And this guy, I'm not going to say his name, he turns like, "Yeah, man, I think it's got 2 of them in it," and just didn't even pay attention. "Yeah, man, I think it's got 2 of them in it." It's like, what? It's like, damn, dude. But that dude would sell cars. God, he would move cars and make money, and he'd lie to you and steal from you, and it just, God, dog. But yeah, I wasn't cut out for the car business. I just couldn't lie to people. Nobody wants to know that. There are still good, honest people out there. Yeah, not many, Jeanette. They're fewer and farther between, but I do agree that they're out there somewhere. I believe that too, Jeanette. People who care about their work. Yeah. For some people, it's hard to believe why they chose that profession when they don't seem to want to do it. Yeah, I know. That's like an article I was reading earlier, where some person who owns a bar or represents some hospitality organization, union or something, said that there's a trend amongst Gen Z where they're not running tabs anymore, where they're just paying for their drinks as they go. So you get a drink, you pay for it. You get a drink, you pay for it. And bartenders are griping about that, and I'm like, why? Because they're talking about how, oh, well, every time I bring somebody a drink, I've got to stop what I'm doing and go ring it up and bring them their change, or, give them their, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's your job. If somebody chooses to run a tab because they want to make it easier for them, they're the guest. You're there to serve them. Their job is not to come in and drink or eat in a way that makes your life easy. And I was like, where do you people get off thinking that it's the customer's responsibility to act in a way that makes your life easy? It's their, and I'm not trying to sound entitled when I say this, it's the server's place to make my life easier. That's why I go out to dinner or out to a bar, because if I don't want to cook, then I'm going somewhere where I'm going to pay you to make my life easier tonight. But it's just I'm reading that, and I've been in the restaurant business before, and I'm like, what? That's your job. That'd be like, when I was in the restaurant business, I was a cook. It'd be like somebody ordering food and me getting all bent out of shape because, oh, great, now I got to cook a steak. Jesus, God, what is wrong with you people? Sorry, I'm just ranting today. This CH channel has got nothing to do with my CH cat that is in hibernation. Oh my God. Rosie, you need to come out of hibernation. Seems hard to find, so yeah. I was going to say that. Good on you, Scott, for your standards. I appreciate that, but it's also just conscience. I couldn't live with myself if I did some. I mean, that's just, I don't know. What job hasn't Scott done? Exactly. I had a customer tell me that one time. I'm like, wow, you've lived quite a life. I'm like, great. That's, doesn't help me pay my bills. But no, I have done a whole lot of stuff. That's the one thing that I can say. I have done. I have experienced a lot of life. So. You sound just like my husband on the restaurant deal, and you both are correct. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't get it. I mean, that's like tonight. But I have this option tonight, since I do have a vehicle that'll do at least 30 miles an hour. I can either cook dinner, I can either go in my kitchen and cook dinner sometime tonight, or if I don't want to, then I can get in my truck and limp to a restaurant and pay them to make my life easier. And I certainly don't expect them to gripe if I order a drink and pay for it. Jeanette, I'm Gen X. We don't play that well, most of us. I know, I'm Gen X as well. Born in 70. I'll be 55 the end of this year. So yeah, trust me, I'm Gen X all the way. That's why I don't understand. I see younger people, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not picking on any particular generation. And there's people that are millennials and Gen Z that are sort of old souls that are a throwback that, would fit in more with Gen X than they do with their own generation. But by and large, most people in the younger generations, a lot of people in the younger generations, there is a bit of a sense of entitlement, and that the world is there to serve them, and that life's not supposed to be hard. You're not supposed to get hurt feelings. You're not supposed to be hurt. You're not supposed to this. You're not supposed to that. Blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, I can remember, we didn't get, helicopter parents? No. It was, come home when the street lights come on. There were times that, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a big scar across my throat where I had my throat cut when I was a kid. Not that, throat cut like, somebody cut my throat. Me and a buddy of mine were racing our bicycles, and we were going down a hill, and unfortunately I was winning, and somebody just for whatever reason, had strung a piece of, it was like commercial carpet, how you can pull it apart. So it was like almost a rope going across this trail, and I hit it, and it broke about 20 or 30 feet off to the side and just went sliding across my neck and laid my neck open. It didn't quite get to my windpipe or anything, but I mean, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit, it's easier to see in the summertime because it doesn't tan. The scar doesn't tan. And I mean, I know this may be an extreme example, but I went, with blood coming out of my throat, I got on my bicycle and I pedaled home. And the only person that was home was my sister, and she was home from college for the weekend, and she was taking a nap, and I woke her up and lifted my head up and everything, and just this had to be like, let's see, she started college, so this had to be like 1983. That's when she started. She graduated. Yeah, no, 82. She started college. She graduated high school in 82. Started college that fall. So this was like 82, 83, and so I sort of tapped her, and I lifted my head up, and a gash with blood coming out of it. And she didn't freak out or anything. She's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "I was racing my bike, and I was winning, blah, blah, blah." She's like, "All right, you all right?" I was like, "I guess." She's like, "All right, go in the bathroom, clean yourself up." I mean, that was it. There wasn't it wasn't, there was no, "Oh my God." I mean, it was like right next door to, okay, rub some dirt in it and leave me alone. So my sister had that happen to her, only got her lip instead of her throat. Ow. See, okay. Speaking of lip, Jeanette, anybody else in here that's Gen X will remember this. This is how stupid and how cruel we were, just to see how stupid our friends were. How many of you, maybe it's just me, maybe it was me and my friends were just extra stupid. How many of you would convince your friends to put a piece of paper in their mouth, hold it, and then see if they could pull it out? Talk about paper cuts right there in the corner. Oh, God Almighty. Yeah, our generation might be relatively tough, but we might not be ultra smart there, Jeanette. We might have our issues, and we do have issues. Maybe nobody else did that. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just me and my friends. But of course, when I was in, I was in ninth grade. I was in ninth grade. I got suspended for 3 days because I got stabbed in the head by one of my buddies. We used to take the big pins that had the clear barrel, and then it had the stopper was whatever color the ink was. So you had the clear, the clear pen, and then if it was black ink, then it had a black plug and then a black lid. Those types of pens. But we would take the plug out, and particularly in home ec, back when you had home ec and we would cook and do all this stuff, we would take needles, like sewing needles, and shove them through that plug, and then put the plug back in. So you had the pen, but then you had this needle sticking out of it, and we'd sit there and hit each other. Sit there and hit each other with this, like, homemade, with a sewing needle. I mean, it's just stupid. Well, guy, I won't mention his name, but he's a friend of mine. He sits on the other side of the table from me. He reaches across, just pow, pops me right in the head with it. When he pulls back, the plug's not in there. He's like, where'd it go? And I'm like, dude, I reach up and I feel it. It is stuck in my skull. I mean, so he'd gone through my skin and stuck the needle in my skull, and it had stuck. So I reach and I just pull it out, and I hand it to him. I'm like, dude, that wasn't very nice. Well, then I reach up and I feel the blood. And I'm like, oh my God. So I put my hand over and I try to cup my hand so that it catches the blood, because now it's starting to run, now that I've uncorked the hole that he has put in my head. So I'm trying to hold the blood. I can't remember what, so I think it was on this side. I'm trying to hold the blood in the palm of my hand, And I go up to the teacher and I ask her, I said, can I go to the bathroom? And she said, yeah, why, what's wrong? And I'm holding my head. I said, oh, I've just got a headache. Well, about that time, the blood had pooled up in my hand and started running over where my hand wasn't touching, and it started running down. And she's like, oh my God, you're bleeding. And the only thing I thought to say, I looked at her, I said, it's a really bad headache. So, of course, she let me go to the bathroom, and she asked around what happened, this, that, and the other, blah, blah. So me and my friend, both, we got sent to the office, and the principal suspended both of us for 3 days. And I'm like, I'm the one that got stabbed. Why am I getting suspended? Suspend him. But no, we both, that's how we grew up. I've got three scars in a row on this thumb, where I was in shop class in woodworking, and I'm using a saw and I'm cutting. Well, the saw bit down and then bowed and popped out, and the blade went right across my thumb, and where 3 of the teeth went across my thumb knuckle, I could actually see the bone, and I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. Oh my crap! And I knew that our shop teacher, would give us a 0 for the day if we got injured. I mean, it wasn't a matter of, oh my God, are you okay? He would give it, because that shows we're not being safe. So I put my hand in wearing my members only jacket. This was 1986. I put my hand in my jacket pocket and walked to the bathroom, because in shop class, we didn't have to ask, we just go to the bathroom if we need. So I go to the bathroom and I pull my hand out. Now I'm just dripping with blood. I rinse my hand off. I get it all dried up. I wrap a towel around a piece of paper towel from the machine. Wrap it around it real good, and then just keep my hand in my pocket the rest of the day. I didn't do any more work. I just sort of walked around acting like I was working and all this stuff. And at least I could make it through, get out of shop class, and then be okay. It stopped bleeding for the most part. I had to keep a paper towel up. But then when I would get up to like English class or science class, and I'm sitting there holding a paper towel on my hand that has some blood on it, the teachers didn't ask, oh, what happened to you, Mr. Sibley? Are you okay? Did you, blah, blah. Nobody says like, all right, test tomorrow on chapters 3 through 5 and blah. They didn't care. Nobody cared. Scott sounds like a Dennis the Menace. I don't know. I think Dennis the Menace was, I don't know. I think I was probably worse. Scott knows a few ouchies. Oh God, yes. Oh my God, let's see. I broke my leg at Marine Corps Officer Candidate School, and didn't tell them because I only had 2 weeks left. So I was like, oh, I can suck up the pain until and just finish up and then go heal up. And yeah, they caught me. They caught my broken leg. They kept asking me why I was limping, and I just told them I had blisters. So they caught me, and then so I got kicked out of the Marine Corps for that. I got kicked out of the officer program, and then right before I started the police academy, I broke my back, and I started having flashbacks of getting medically discharged from the Marine Corps, and I was like, okay, so I'm not going to tell them. So when I started the police academy, for the first 3 weeks of the police academy, I was wearing a back brace underneath my uniform, and they didn't know. So, yeah, I'm not. Now that I think about it, guys, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. I'm I'm probably not the sharpest knife in the drawer. So yeah, I look back on it and I'm like, what in God's name was wrong with me? I mean, whatever. Now that I think about it, I am amazed that I lived through my adolescence and my 20s. I'm just shocked. Oh well. All right. Well, I said it was going to be quick, but I got on a tear. I apologize, guys. I just went on a rant. I'm sorry. I mean, y'all, I mean, I'm sorry. Y'all, the channel is about my cat, and here I am ranting and raving about my broken leg, my broken back, my getting stabbed in the head. It's like, God, I mean, I need to write a book. Yeah, if I didn't take all the pages through my lip. I'm very resourceful. I mean, that's what we did everything, and Jeanette, you can probably back me up on this. Just highly accident prone. Yeah, we'll go with that, Marilyn. Thanks, I appreciate that. You can back me up on this, Jeanette, and I don't know who else is Gen X in here, but I know that for me, there was a fear of getting in trouble. You didn't want to get in trouble. It's like today, nowadays, parents don't want to discipline their kids as far as corporal punishment. I'm not advocating for beating your kid, none of that. But, there are times where kids might need a little spanking, need a belt across the rear end, or a paddle. I mean, we used to get paddled in school. I remember, we were terrified. Then the teachers would make paddles specifically to scare. They'd drill holes in it so it would whistle as they're swinging it. They would paint flames on it and call it, I had one teacher, they painted death from behind on their paddle. I mean, it was psychological warfare as much as it was physical. But we also knew that if we screwed up at home, that we were going to get spankings or get switches or something. But also, it wasn't like today. It's a matter, somebody says something to somebody's kid that's not theirs, and somebody, you don't talk to my kid like that. You don't do it. Back when I was growing up, the neighbors, it wasn't like written down or anything. It was just understood. The neighbors could spank you as well. And as if that wasn't bad enough, it wasn't a matter of I was going to come home and, so-and-so's dad spanked me, blah, 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 blah. And then my parents go running over there. Why are you spanking my kid? No. If the neighbor's parents ended up spanking you or disciplining you, doing something like that, you prayed to God, please do not let my parents find out about this, because then you're going to get a spanking or grounding or something from your parents, because what in God's name are you doing going over to the neighbor's house, acting a fool and disgracing our family? You're giving our family a bad name, acting like So yeah, the whistle bat, yes, yep, those two, yep, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's if you got spanked by the neighbors, you just said I'm sorry and thank you and went on about your business and hope to God your parents didn't find out, because then you're gonna get spanked again. It was a different time. I don't know if it was better, but I don't know. We were also. My mom and dad would send me down to the local store where I would walk like a quarter of a mile to the little local store, little mom and pop shop, like 8, 9, 10 years old, to buy their cigarettes. So that was the 70s. You'd go buy your parents cigarettes. So, mom or dad would run out of cigarettes and be like, hey, run down to the store and get me some cigarettes. Here's $1. Go get me a pack of cigarettes. With holes in the paddle, yeah, I had a neighbor that had 6 kids. I was number 7. I got my behind whooped by my, yes, and that's the thing, Jeanette. Yeah, you didn't go running home and say, so-and-so's dad spanked me, so-and-so. You know that it was understood. The neighbors were allowed to spank you. So yeah. Oh yeah, we had, they had holes in them. The paddles had holes in them. I remember the worst one. I don't know why. It was actually my football coach. I was in 7th grade, and his paddle wasn't something that was nice and it was just a board, probably like a 1x4. But he had it wrapped with layer and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer and layer of electrical tape. Nobody wanted to get lit up by the coach, because he would light you up. So yeah, it was a different time. It was a different era, and I miss it. I miss the 80s. Oh, God, I miss the 80s. So, oh well. All right, guys. The princess has she's still hanging out in her little cave. So we'll go check in on her one more time before we call it a day. I think she's actually climbed farther back in there. She has, and she's turned around. Hey, baby. Let me see if I can. Hey, Doodle. Hey, baby. She's like, Daddy, you better put this blanket back down before I hurt you. Love you, Doodle. Doodle, baby. Say toodles. Say toodles to everybody. Love you, Doodle. Toodles, baby. I'm in trouble. All right. Love you, Doodle. Coach Goss. Mine was Coach Guthrie. Coach Guthrie. He's the one, he had that pal that would light you up. So yeah, if she continues to, like I said, normally she's not under it when I get home. Normally she's either on top of it, in which case I just swap out the comforter for the drug rug, or she's on the floor or under the tree or somewhere else. So it's not that big a deal to take the comforter off the sofa and swap it out with the drug rug. But today she was underneath it and she was so comfortable and everything. I just didn't have the heart to take down her doodle cave, as Ryan dubbed it. So again, we'll see if she's still, if she's in it next week, then we may do something different. If it becomes a habit that she's in there, then I may change the camera angle to capture her in there or something. We'll do something to accommodate it, so that everybody gets their dose of Rosie, but not take the joy of her doodle cave away from her too much. So there we go. Ryan says, it's strange how much you remember from school. Teachers are so important. Yeah, they are. They do leave a much longer lasting impression on you than you think in the moment, because I can think back to school and there are teachers that I remember fondly. There are teachers that I remember with great disdain. But I remember most of them, like Coach Guthrie. He now I went to, at this point, so up until 7th grade, I went to a private Christian school, and then after that I started going to public school. But Coach Guthrie, it was at the private Christian school, and since it was a private Christian school, then we naturally, one of our classes every day was Bible class, and Coach Guthrie was my teacher for Bible class. So he was my football coach and he was my Bible class teacher. And we were assigned to read a chapter, whatever chapter in the Bible. We're going to read it for the first 20 minutes and then have discussion about it, something. Well, I'm sitting up in the front of the class. Now remember, I'm in 7th grade, so this will give you an idea of how I was as a kid and a teenager. We're all reading quietly, and I'm up in the front of the class on the far side. And all of a sudden, Coach Guthrie says, "Simply, I could really use a cigarette right now." I was like, "Okay, go smoke a cigarette. What are you telling me for? He's like, how about give me one of yours? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have cigarettes, and I don't do it. He's like, yeah, that pack you got in your sock. Like, what? So I reached down, and I had a pack of Marlboros in my sock. So I reached down, and let's see if I can do this. So I stand up, and I grab my pants leg, and I pull my pants up, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, Coach. Ain't no cigarettes. And of course, you know, this was the early '80s, so I had tube socks that came to about here. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no cigarettes. He's like, no, the other side. So I reach down and I grab my pants, but I also take my fingers and I hook them on the bottom of the pack of cigarettes, and I'm trying to pull them up with my pants so that you can't see them. He's like, just give it up. Just give me the cigarette. I'm like, crap. So I pulled my pants up, I reached and handed him the cigarettes, and he sent me to the office. So, yeah. Need to respect Doodle's wishes. True. Yes, we will make sure Doodle's happy. Whatever Rosie wants to do, they really do. Teachers, coaches, for sure. I ran track. Oh, nice. See, I hated running. I mostly had good, if not great, teachers. Oh, I did too. I had great teachers. For the most part, I had great teachers. I was not a great kid. That was the problem with me, Marilyn. I was a troublemaker. I was the kid that was more likely to cut class and go hang out behind the dumpster and smoke cigarettes with the troublemakers. And not that I created trouble. It's just that I was one of those kids. I wasn't the perfect. I didn't study a lot. I just barely whatever to get by. Have you been in most of your life? I mean, school and all. So yeah, I mean, it was that's where I most likely would be found. And even back then, it wasn't there were a lot of the public schools back then. You didn't even have to hide behind the dumpster to smoke. They would have designated smoking areas for the students. All you had to do was 14, 15 years old. As long as you had a note from your parents saying, yeah, I'm aware that my kid smokes and they're allowed to smoke, then you could, between classes, you could go as a student in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you could go out to the designated student smoking area and smoke a cigarette real quick between classes. It was a different time. Yes, Jeanette grew up in Brooklyn. Oop, where'd it go? So yeah, no, it was just it was a different time. Like where the school I went to, where I got suspended for getting stabbed in the head. At least you got it out of your system early, Scott. Yeah, we'll go with that, Jeanette. No, like the where I was, the school I was going to when I got stabbed in the head and got suspended. We had this is bad. I shouldn't say this. We had our principal, right before school started, I think he had fallen off a ladder. He had done something, fallen off his roof, but he had broken his leg or broken both legs. So for the first half of the year or more, maybe it was the whole year, I can't remember, then he was in a wheelchair. And me and the guy that stabbed me in the head and another one of our friends, we were famous for cutting class, just cutting class and go walk around and kill time, go outside and smoke and all this stuff. Well, when he would catch us, then the way the school was laid out, the halls were sort of like a tic-tac-toe board. So you had the school was actually not 2 floors, but 2 different levels. On one side of the building, the hall was a ramp for wheelchairs and whatnot. But then on the other side of the building, to get from the lower level to the upper level, it was like 3 or 4 steps up. So I mean, it wasn't much. It's not like I said, it's not like 2 stories, but just one part of the school was a little bit higher than the others. And then you had 2 halls that were straight on each different level. Well, we would cut class, and the principal, he would come after us. He would, come here, y'all, y'all gonna come to my office. Well, we wouldn't even run from him. We would just walk fast, and he couldn't keep up with us. And here we are laughing and doing this and doing that. And when we got tired of running from him, so to speak, then we would just run over to that side of the school that had the 3 or 4 steps, and he couldn't get up them or down them. So wherever we'd be 5 feet away from him, and he couldn't do anything to us because he was in a wheelchair. And I mean, I feel bad now, but when you're 14, 15 years old, then you don't think about whether or not you're a jerk. Meryl said, yes, born in Brooklyn, spent a lot of years in the Bronx, and then moved back to Brooklyn. My mom was born in Indiana, and we spent many, many summers there visiting her friends. Oh, cool, awesome. So you can do a good bit of traveling there in Maryland. That's awesome. But yeah. So yeah, I had good teachers, and I probably caused quite a bit of anxiety in my good teachers. What else? We had one teacher at the private Christian school. He was the science teacher, and this is weird. He was known for, like, when we would dissect animals, he wouldn't get animals to dissect by means of purchasing them from somewhere for scientific purposes. And no, he'd just find roadkill on his way to work and pick it up and throw it in his car and bring it to school, and we'd hack it up in the lab. I mean, he brought dead beavers, dead squirrels. It's like, okay. I mean, I know that back in the day, you would do you would dissect animals, but no, he would just bring in roadkill. Jeanette, that's so cool, Maryland. I would love to visit New York sometime. I've been to my first wife. She's from upstate New York, and then one of my best friends, he's from upstate. I've never been to the city, but I've been to New York quite a few times, and I can say, like I said, I haven't been to the city, but but upstate New York is, oh my God, probably some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in my life. First time I went up there with my first wife, we went up there for her family was having a family reunion, and we drove from Birmingham up to upstate. And once we got up, now Birmingham, Alabama's got a lot of mountains and hills and all, but upstate New York was almost like a postcard. I mean, all these apple orchards and just rolling hills. There would be one house sitting in the middle of 100 acres. I mean, it was just beautiful. If it wasn't for the fact that it gets 300 degrees below zero up there, I'd love to live up there. Ryan said, my science teacher played acoustic guitar to the class once. He got in trouble with the head teacher, but why would he get in trouble for playing guitar? That's awesome. I mean, our science teacher, like I said, he would bring in roadkill. There was one time he brought in a dead beaver, was using his pocket knife. This is gross. This is so gross, but it happened. He's using his pocket knife to cut up this dead beaver, and then before he takes his pocket knife, just sort of wipes it on his pants, closes it up, puts it in his pocket. Then at lunch, we're all in the lunchroom, and he's got an apple. He pulls the pocket knife out of his pocket and starts cutting pieces of the apple and eating it. And we're like, we're like, dude. One day he had his tie clip was a locust, and we're like, okay, dude's got a locust tie clip. I don't know. All of a sudden, about halfway through class, it jumped off and went flying around the room. He had a bug on his tie. It was like, Jesus, dude, what in God's name? And he wouldn't paddle you if you got in trouble with him. And remember, this is a Christian school, right? If you got in trouble with him, what he would do is he would grab, he had a Bible, and he would tear a page out of the Bible and make you write that page of the Bible. You know, it's like writing sentences, but he'd make you write that page of the Bible front and back. He did that to my sister one time. He ripped a page out, handed it to her. She just wadded it up and threw it on the ground. He ripped, whoosh, whoosh, here, take two. It's like, what? Yeah, that's what he would do. He'd rip pages out of the Bible and make you write them. Like, okay. Oh my God, I got out of dissecting frogs because all I said was because of animals' rights. I just couldn't do it. Yeah, see, I didn't think about all that back then. It was just, you know, okay, 10-4, whatever. But yeah, now I couldn't do it. I couldn't have the heart. Was it good for you to? Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I didn't think about it back then. I didn't, you know, like I said, I was a 14, 15-year-old boy, so, you know, I wasn't thinking about the cute, furry little animals, but anyway. Well, man, for doing a short episode, I sure have gone over an hour. I mean, I've got stuff I've got to do. I was, you know, before I started, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do, you know, knock out about 10, 15 minutes, let everybody see. And y'all didn't even get a really chance to see Rosie because she's been hiding. She's been hiding. I'm not even gonna mess with her. We'll let her sleep. So, but yeah, there's a little extra special glimpse into my life, into my scholastic career. So, well, all right. Well, I'm gonna cut out. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Does anybody else have anything? You know, Marilyn, Jeanette, Ryan, Stephen, Elizabeth, thank you all for being here. Have enjoyed it as usual. Have enjoyed your company, all of you. We all know Rosie's feelings on the issue of the end of the podcast. So, but Jeanette, thank you for getting the shirts done and shipped out and whatnot. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to get mine. But yeah, if anybody else has got anything, good to go. But again, I'm going to leave it up for a few minutes. Let everybody say their toodles to everybody, and we will reconvene a week hence. So that's okay, Scott. We enjoy it. Yes, I enjoy it. We'll go. I'm glad y'all enjoy my rants and my babbling. Just everyone have a good week, and it will be July when we meet again. Yep, everybody have a good, safe, happy week. Thank you for reminding me of that part, Marilyn. Good, safe, happy, productive week, and yeah, it'll be a new month when we reconvene. So, but everybody be careful. Everybody have fun, and I will see y'all next week. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Love y'all. See y'all next week. Be careful. Talk to y'all later. Toodles, everybody.